Hi, everybody. Welcome. We are so excited to have you here to talk all about magnetic dating. I'm Aleeza Ben Shalom. I'm known as the marriage-minded mentor, and my goal is to help singles get over their hurdles and under the chuppah. And tonight, we're really going to explore this topic of how do we attract our soulmate? How do we draw somebody to us? And how do we repel and push away the wrong people? Often, maybe this sounds like you or like all of you, that you meet somebody and the person that you're interested, you're like, oh, interested. And they like look and run the other way. And then when you meet somebody and they are, ooh, interested, you're like, so not for me, right? How often does that happen? You can tell me in the chat box, how often does that happen to you on dates? It's all the time, right? One date, two people, 3, 5, all the time. Like, many dates are like that. Maybe almost every date is like that. So the first news is it's normal. So sorry. So sorry that is the annoying norm, that dating and not meeting the right person is what's going to happen to you basically 99% of the time in dating. So if you've heard me speak before, you've probably heard me say that 99% of the people that you meet are going to be absolutely wrong for you. And only that 1% of the time are they going to be right. And that's the way it's supposed to be, which means that you are going to feel like you are failing every single time. Okay. So don't get depressed. Nobody's allowed to go there. That's not where we go. I'm telling you this why, so that you should know the real statistics that are happening to real people just like you who are in the dating process. Because if you expect that you should at least have, I don't know, 20, 30% of dates that are like pretty decent and enough people to choose from, that's just not normal. It's not. So if you're expecting that, you're going to be disappointed. And I don't want you to be disappointed through dating. If you go out with the wrong person, I want you to go out with the wrong person and then come back and be like, well, Lisa said 99% of the time it's not going to work. So that must not be my soulmate. Don't get depressed. Don't get in a funk. It's clarity. Clarity's fabulous. And that's a whole nother webinar. We're not doing that now. What we're going to talk about is magnetic dating, how to draw the right person to you and repel the wrong person away from you. So the first thing that I have here is magnets.
Look at you bringing props to a webinar.
I love these. So I don't know if I could do this. I usually do this in person where I give like a, did you hear that? Can you hear the little zoop? Sorry, did you hear it? Yeah. Okay. I don't think I'm going to do it again. I might drop it. So when something's magnetic, that's how it sounds. But you know that feeling like there's a buzz, there's a click, there's a connection, there's something that you're like, I don't know how to explain what's happening. That's a magnetic feeling. Okay. What happens when you meet the wrong person and you're like trying to make it work and it's like you can't even like get it together, like you can't push it together. Even if you tried, it's not gonna work. It's just like repelling. It's pushing the other way. You're on mute.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, oh my gosh, quietly. Literally, that's what it feels like. When you're trying so hard because you're like, but maybe it's supposed to work. Maybe I'm supposed to try. And it's like, oh, painful,
right? It's lousy.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know. This is my coaching client. We get on a call and they're telling me, I met somebody. I'm like, how was it? What's the story? And they're like, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I mean, like, I don't want to marry them, but I don't think I have a good reason to break up. And I'm like, tell me more, And if you don't have a great reason to break up, you shouldn't. And if it's not magnetic, it doesn't mean there's something wrong. It just might not be for you this minute, or it might not be for you at all. And this kind of like yumminess in a relationship, not all relationships feel like that. Not all relationships sound like that. Not all relationships look like that. And you don't need that to that degree, even though we all probably want it because it feels so good. Not everybody gets that. I've helped to walk a lot of people down the aisle, and I mean metaphorically, not physically, and that's not always the case. There's sometimes people that are together that, like you get them down the aisle, you get them down and they're not feeling attracted, and they get down there and you're like, yep, well, you're just stuck together now because that's how marriage is. And they're like, you're a good match. You maybe don't know that it's good for you.
What
or
did you say?
Yeah,
Can
sorry.
you just repeat that?
Yeah, sorry. Some people you have to kick down the aisle. They just are really hard to get down the aisle. They don't want, they don't feel the magnetic pull, but they don't feel it with anybody. They wouldn't even with their soulmate, they don't feel it, but it's just part of their genetic makeup or their emotional makeup. So what happens when you're magnetic? And if you thought I just had two magnets, you're wrong, right? When you're magnetic, you start to attract everybody and everything, right? You even start to attract the wrong things, the things that are like totally not a match for you, right? You're like, get off of me, like stop, like go away, you're not for me. And you're like, why is that happening? This is so annoying. So here we go. I have got 7 things that we're going to talk about before we get to the Q&A. Number 1, if you would like to have a magnetic personality, you've got to have fun. You've got to either be fun or make sometimes fun. That means you should laugh easily and often. Not like a fake, like, oh, no, like somebody says something that's funny, and you're like, that's so great. Don't make it hard for somebody to get a chuckle out of you. Let them see that you're enjoying them. And even if their joke isn't super funny, but it's funny, like give them something. That makes you magnetic. Your approachability, under laughter and fun, is like approachability. It shouldn't be hard for them to get to know you. They walk over and you're, hi, and how are you, and what's doing, and oh, it's nice to see you, and a lovely evening, and just be approachable. Be open. You want people to, you want them to approach you, and you don't want to be guarded. You don't want to just be like back here, like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Good. Yeah. Nice evening. Like, blocking language, blocking words, blocking face, blocking everything. That's for sure a way to repel somebody that you're not interested in. If you are on a date and you, okay, so we're going to do magnetic and repulsion, right? We're like, draw me in and get rid of somebody. If you want to get rid of somebody, you sit there like this. You sit there going, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Cross your legs in the opposite direction, away from them. You want to like make visual body language, turn to the side. If you're face to face like this, be like, oh yeah, sure, interesting, right? Physical block. This shows like, back off, so not interested in you, okay? That's the way you repel somebody.
Except for the few people who just totally don't get it. But for the majority of people.
No, there's people that sit like that, and they are like that.
No. I'm talking about the people who don't pick up on social cues.
Okay, that's a category, and it happens. And if somebody doesn't pick up on your social cue, that's not you. You did the right move. They just don't have the right response to it. And that happens. Also totally true. So part of having fun is being ready to engage, like anticipating the engagement and the conversation with somebody else. And part of having fun is expanding your answers. They ask you a question and you're not just like, oh yeah, well, we went here, we did this. You're like, oh wait, let me tell you. Like, tell a story, have fun. Like, oh yeah, the best trip that I ever took, here's where we went, and this was my favorite thing that we did there. It was great, right? Like all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, tell me about you. As opposed to like, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, we've gone on some nice trips. I mean, yeah, like, I don't know, we go to the beach, and we really have nice summers.
So special. How exciting.
No, but it just it repels somebody, like pushes. It's like like you're trying to get close to them, and it's like this. You're like, never gonna work. It's never gonna work. So it's fine. Like, okay, fine. Okay, so number 1 is have fun.
Have fun.
Have fun. Have fun.
Be fun and have fun.
You got it.
If you are fun,
I like you.
Stop.
You're fun.
You like me?
You're so fun.
You're fun too. We have fun together.
We are fun together.
You guys, this was not rehearsed.
Neither of us have enough time in life to rehearse. No. Okay, so having fun is number 1. I didn't even write that like that, but I like rhymes. Having fun is number 1. Number 2.
Wait, I actually have a question. I know we're just starting this, and I didn't get the Cliff's Notes on what tonight's
no, you didn't.
Is about. I feel like we're starting. Are they all going to be similar to flirting?
That's a good question. I'm going to go through them, and you're going to tell me when we're done.
All right.
But I think they're different.
Okay, I just want to say 1 second. Someone just raised their hand. I don't know if it was on purpose or not. If you have a question, like a raise hand question, just put it in the chat box, but click to panelists only, And then I'll see your question and hopefully we'll be able to address it. Unless that was a mistake, then just
And if you raised
ignore
it by mistake, high five. What's up?
Right. And also I'm putting your hand down.
Okay, great. Okay, number 2 is warmth. What does warmth mean? There's a client of mine that I was working with, and we were talking about how do you define warmth? And he's like, I don't know, like maybe people sometimes say I'm warm, but I'm not always warm. How can I figure out like what's the key to warmth? So we worked together for months trying to define warmth. Can I tell you? It's the most difficult thing in the world to define. How do you describe when somebody's warm? Are they nice? Yeah. So it's a little more
like
than a feeling.
Feeling of sitting in front of a fireplace, of like security, comfort, relaxation, and ease.
Okay. Ding, 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 ding. Well done. So what I have written down in my lovely little notes that you can't see because I didn't send them to you, it says providing a feeling of comfort to those that you're interacting with, treating them as equals, even though maybe you might be on a higher social status or financial status or anything, but like treating somebody as an equal, making people feel important, helping them to feel good about themselves. And when you do all of those things all together, somebody gets a feeling of warmth from you. They want to be around you. You feel good to be around, and you make them feel good when they're with you and with themselves. So it's like a double warmth. It's like I feel warm here, like, ooh, good. And like to be with you, like if I had a choice of 5 people, I'd choose you, right? So when we're talking about attracting somebody, being magnetic, you want them to pick you over anybody else. I'd rather be with you than anybody else in the world. That's really important. That's number 2. Is that a sneeze? God bless you.
It was a yawn, but I'll take the blessing.
Amen. Okay. Number 3 is be authentic, be sincere, be genuine. So being authentic means you're not sitting there trying to be anybody else. Don't be who your mother or brother told you you had to be because you weren't good enough to be yourself. Don't try to be your friend who is super magnetic and has this amazing personality and you're like trying to put on a show. Be you, but be the best version of you. And you have to be authentic. Now, what happens if you're a negative person, or you kind of like, you have that smile that like frowns down, and no matter what you do, you're like, I don't want to smile because it looks like a frown. I don't care. Smile, because your smile is beautiful and it's an attractive thing about you. And you've just got to be authentically you, but you've got to be the best version of you. So all that schmutzy stuff that goes on in life, that's not the best version of you. It's a part of you, but it's not the only you, and it's not the you that we're showing on a date. Don't worry, everybody will figure out what is wrong with you. You do not have to tell them. And they will figure out 10 things that you never thought were wrong that they think are very, very wrong with you. Like, we're just showing our best selves. We're putting our best foot forward, and that is authentic. That is not a contradiction. I know this makes a lot of people's brains hurt when I give this over, but it's really true. Putting your best foot forward is the best version of you. And that, my friend, is magnetic. That's number 3.
Can I just add something there?
Yes.
Oh, did you say no first?
I said yes.
Oh, okay, good. I know I brought this up before, but I feel like it's just a good time to bring it up again. Part of the being authentic is also not trying to anticipate what your date wants you to say. And sometimes it's super obvious when you do that. And I know I dated for like 5-6 years before I even realized I was doing it. Like if he would ask me a question and I answered and he disagreed with it or was looking for something a little bit different, like I always put out a disclaimer, but like I'm open. And obviously there's you could be an open person and you're going to have to compromise when you're eventually living with someone, but there's a difference between that and like putting in a disclaimer with everything you say and trying to anticipate what you think he or she wants you to say. Don't do that. Right.
It's a little bit annoying and it's not so magnetic. Okay. So number 3 was be authentic. Number 4 is what did I say? Oh, here we go. Sorry. I think it's a typo, but it's fine. Don't be afraid of rejection. Project confidence. So what's magnetic? What's magnetic is either this relationship's going to work between us or it's not. I'm going to be a whole, happy, healthy human being no matter what. Now, it's not to say I'm not interested. It's not to say I don't want something. It's just I'm not desperate. I'm not needy. I'm not clingy. And those things, if you would like to repel somebody, appear to be desperate, clingy, and needy. Those things make people run the other way. So if you want to get rid of somebody, that's the best way to do it. If you want to attract and draw somebody in, then project confidence. Confidence that you know that your right person is out there. Either you're dating them or you're not. You know you're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, and you're going to find them. That's just the way the world was made. And if you don't know it, I know it. So you can borrow my confidence and you can sit there on your date and be like, yeah, it's fine. I'm good. And be like, Aleeza said, right? I don't need you to believe it yet. It's okay. You could like buy in later. You can borrow my confidence. I will it to you. I share it freely. Project confidence. It is super attractive and completely magnetic. Okay, number 5. I like this one. You might not like this one because and for men, this might not appeal to you. I don't know. Tell me in the comments. But be a light to others. Empower other people.
Like it?
I don't know. It's a little cheesy. Like it's a little like, touchy-feely.
Dude,
girly.
I'm all about empowerment.
You're a girl. I just said men.
I thought you were talking to me when you said you might not like this and men might not like this.
Well, you, the audience, the ladies in the audience.
Oh,
not you. Sorry.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, you're all about empowerment. I'm not. I got it. I hear where I misspoke.
Like, yeah, okay.
I mean, I'm not talking to you. Sorry, you. I'm talking to you who's listening to the webinar. Okay, so be a light. Be a light. What does a light mean? When you turn a light on. Here, I'll show you what a light means. Hang on. Give me my little light. Sorry for my close up there. But here, dark, light. What's better? Light. Why? Well, it sheds light on the situation. It brightens things up. It cheers things up. There's so many things that are so much better with light. Be a light. Bring brightness to your dating situation, whatever your situation is, and empower somebody else in a conversation. If they say something and you disagree with them, you're allowed to disagree, but it goes like this. They say something, you're like, oh, yes. And use the, what do we call it? The,
yes, and.
I know, but it comes from improv. Thank you. Use the improv tool, yes, and, right? Oh, yes, and I've also heard of other people doing like this, like there's some different opinions out there about this. Then you can have a discussion, but it's not like, oh no, that's not right. You know what I heard? Like, I know what's right. You know nothing. That completely disempowers somebody. Not that you're going to say it like that on the date, but sometimes the way that we speak makes somebody feel like that. They feel like, you think I'm nothing. You don't value what I said. If you don't value what I said, you don't value me. If you don't value me, you don't believe in me. If you don't believe in me, I don't want to be with you, right? So if you would like to get rid of your date, just disagree with everything they say, disempower them and make it a horrible experience. No, I'm just kidding. Don't make it a horrible experience, even if you don't want to be with them. Still be pleasant, but you don't have to agree with everything. You could kind of like put up a fight a little bit more and show that, like this little energy here isn't working, right? We want that like, it's not working energy as opposed to that like,
oh my gosh,
energy.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
What?
I've totally done that. Cause when have you ever seen me argue or debate? I can get a little feisty.
You do get feisty. Yes.
I get feisty. But I wonder, I'm thinking about it now. I wonder, I'll have the same kind of debate with someone I like and someone I don't like, but how it comes across has a different energy. But I don't think I did it on purpose. I kind of wonder when you're with someone that you don't like, it just comes off because there's just that like underlying like, ooh, not like an ew, but just like I don't want to be there. I don't want to engage. So I'm going to like come across in a way that literally repels. Wow, Aleeza, you are good.
You just had an aha moment. That was very real, Sarah. That was cool.
Dude, that's so cool. That's so cool that we do it without even realizing. And then now that we realize it, we can use that as a tool for those moments. Okay.
Shazam. Well done.
Okay.
Thank you. That was fantastic.
Interesting.
Okay. Here we go. Next one. Don't take up too much physical or emotional space. Leave room for somebody else. Exactly.
So
right. Right. If you are all in the camera like that and our pictures are side by side, like everybody's going to look at you, even if they want to like focus on what I'm saying, they can't. There's no space for somebody else to exist. And I can't even focus, right? Or if you're sitting there with somebody and you're like, like, yeah, I'm good. Like you're all like spread out physically and you're like physically taking up a lot of space with the way that you're sitting and postured. It's a little bit overbearing and it doesn't feel so great. So if you want to get rid of somebody, take up lots of space and get in their face and just leave no room for them. But if you don't, then take a step back, make sure, and don't sit like this. We don't want the opposite, like where you're all turned in, where you're like facing in yourself, or you're like, you're kind of like, you just, I don't know. We just need like good posture, shoulders back, work on that. Yeah, there you go, Sarah. Well done. Like they say, like, imagine you're being pulled up by the invisible thread and make sure your spine and your neck and everything's aligned, right? That's what we want. We want you to have a normal, healthy amount of space that you're taking up. That, my friend, is magnetic. And number 7, maybe it's my favorite.
I kind of want to say something, but I don't know if you're going to get to it. But if you're not, it fits in here. Are you going to talk about mirroring?
No.
Can we throw it in here?
Yes.
Like, because I know human beings do that naturally, but sometimes we don't, especially when we're all dressed up on a date somewhere where we wouldn't necessarily choose to be. Not meaning that you don't want to be on the date, but like if you're at a hotel lounge, I still don't understand that. But if you're at a hotel lounge or you're at a coffee shop and there are no more like comfortable seats left and you're sitting on the couch, but like also you're in a pencil skirt and heels. I don't know what the male version of that is. And it's just uncomfortable. Like you might find yourself crossing your arms or like whatever. But mirroring the other person is a really good way of like inviting them in.
So if somebody's sitting like this, you might, come on, do it. Oh, thank you. Right now I feel so much more connected to you because you look like I look. I don't even know how I look because I'm not looking at me. I'm looking at you, but I like that energy and that vibe because we're doing the same thing. All of a sudden there is that, wait, I'm going to do it for you. Magnetic connection that starts to happen when you mirror somebody. Totally.
By the way, what's funny? So I notice this every time, but do you do these videos on your phone?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm always using my laptop and just where the desk is and the chair is, whatever, I always end up closer to you. And I always like try to move a little bit further back. So like when we started, I think I was like here, and then I moved back to here. Because it's just, it's the space thing. Like you don't want to take up all the space. And it's, I don't know, to me, I think it's like a partial mirror thing also where like, I don't want to be closer than you are. And
same distance. Awesome. Okay, you ready for number 7? Number 7, lucky number 7. Okay, don't just listen. Hear what somebody says and understand what they mean. Now, I have to tell you, this is my absolute personal favorite. So I actually was on the phone today with a client, and we were talking about something, and I'm just going to try to think about the exact wording, but I was trying to describe something about the situation, what he had just said. And I was like, it's like this. And I used a word and he was like, yeah, maybe more like that. Like he used a different word. And I was like, yes, that's what I meant. And he's like, and he laughed because he knows that I don't always get, maybe I don't get that word right, but I was trying to hit the nail on the head with it. And he understood that I didn't exactly, it was a good word. It wasn't the perfect word. And he said the perfect word. And then as soon as he said that, I was like, yes, right? And that was like a bonding moment. It was like all of a sudden we were connected. We had the same thinking and the same idea. And we were really listening to what the other person was saying, to the nuance, to the detail, that it was just one word that I was trying to articulate. And I couldn't say it exactly what I wanted. And he knew because he was paying attention, because he was listening, because he heard me, because I heard him, because we understood each other. And in that moment, to me, to be understood, it's the greatest pleasure. And maybe this isn't for everybody. I don't know if this is for all of you. You can tell me how much, do you like being understood? Comment. Tell me if you like and enjoy it as much as I do. I mean, you can't say as much as I do, but like, is that a real pleasure for you? Do you get real pleasure out of being heard and understood? Like you try to explain something and at the end of what you explain, somebody's just like, oh yeah, uh-huh. And you're like, uh-huh, yeah. Like, did you hear what I said? Do I need to speak louder? Did I get my message across? Like, wasn't like a good enough response to what I said.
Right.
I want you to engage with me. I want you to say like, yeah, I totally understand, or not I totally understand. I understand, and you know, it sounds like, and then tell me exactly what it sounds like. And I'll be like, yeah, And if you can say something back to me and I say to you, yeah, oh, and then I go on with my story, that's amazing. You know why? Because if you said enough that I validated it and then I had more to tell you, I felt comfortable with you. I felt heard. I felt understood. And it was a little bit of like a magnetic moment where we clicked, where we connected, where it was like yummy, like awesome. Those moments feel so great. They are not going to happen on every single date. Even when you find your Mr. or Mrs. Right, you will not always have this happily ever after and they forever clicked. Nope, it's not going to happen. But if you work on it, it could happen more often than not. Okay, awesome. That's my top 7 about being
so I just
magnetic.
wanted to clarify. Are you saying that when you're on a date and someone's sharing something with you, at the end of whatever it is that they're saying, you respond with something that acknowledges that you really understood what they were saying? And if you're not totally sure, you flip it back to them and say, I just want to make sure I understood you. And you repeat the same thing in different words just to make sure you're on the same page.
Yeah, it's great.
I just did it.
Does it help? What, right? You got me.
I got you.
That's it. And then me, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. And that's how you have success. Thanks for baiting me there. That was good. You're good. Oh, you're my good sidekick. I love you.
I love you too.
Okay. Well done. I'm easily fooled, by the way. If you'd like to know, like, is she naive and gullible? Yeah, I buy it. I take the bait. Okay. Well done, Sarah. Yeah, perfect demonstration.
I honestly have to say, I have so much experience with this because I feel like, should we like give them a little secret? I feel like I know how to express your brain better than you do.
I love when you do that. It makes me so happy.
So
when you're like, Aleeza, I know you just said like 50 different words, but do you mean this? And you say it in like one sentence, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I meant. I do love that.
We're magnetic business partners.
I just realized I have my extra headset on. We don't need that. Okay, so let's get to the Q&A. Do you have Q&A there? I do.
I'm actually going to address a couple of the new ones that came in first.
Great. Fantastic.
And now I'm trying to remember when it came in because it made so much sense when you were in the middle of something right at the beginning. You were saying something about trying. What were your first 2 points?
Hold on. I have to pull up my computer. I don't keep these things in my brain. I'm not good at memorizing things. Number 1, well, who remembers? Put it in the comments before I say it. Number 1 is, anybody? Fun! Yes, you got it. Have fun and warmth.
Oh, Carly! That's a cheat. This is my job.
Everybody, Carly is Marriage Minded Mentors intern. Yay! We have an intern for the summer. And she is there moderating the chat, and we love her. Thank you, Carly, so much. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, number 1 is have fun, and number 2 is warmth.
Okay, so I don't remember exactly what it was referring to, but the question is, how long are you supposed to try until you give up? Like meaning you were saying that you should try, like sometimes the magnetic energy is just there and sometimes you need to create it. So how long do you try until it's like, yeah, this is a dud?
You know my rule of thumb, when in doubt, go out, or date them till you hate them. Those are my 2 philosophies. If you're really not into it, you're eventually going to say no. If you can still tolerate it and you're still trying to build it and you're putting your effort in and like on paper and who they are, and there's so many things that make sense, you can't give up if the magnetic piece isn't there. You have to work really hard to build it. And by the way, if you're good at building, you're going to get better responses. So if you're not getting better responses, either it really is a dud or you're not so good at being magnetic, and you've got to work on being magnetic. And if you got to work on it anyway, you may as well work on it with a prospect who has potential than to just think about it in your brain and watch this webinar and then never practice it in reality.
Awesome. Okay. Carly, can you do me a favor? there are a couple questions that are coming into the chat box. Everyone, please put your question in the Q&A box, not in the chat box. But Carly, if there's a little mistake and it lands up in the chat box, can you just put them in the Q&A box? There's one that just came in, and then there's one that came in. I'll actually address that one now. Why do we click with some people so instantly and feel understood when we make eye contact, but we don't feel that with other people?
Some people have a hard time with eye contact. Eye contact is a bit of either a skill or a gift that somebody has. And if you have it, then you know how to do it and how to use it. And people just naturally use it. If you don't, and then you're like, you're talking, but you're, you know, like, it's like hard for me to look at you, because like when I look at you, it just makes me uncomfortable, even though I want to be comfortable looking at you. And so I might look at the floor, or I might look at the ceiling, or I might look out the door, but I'm not going to look at you. And some people have a hard time with it. And the people that have it naturally, it's like, well, you didn't work for it. That was a gift from God. So don't look down on somebody who doesn't have it naturally. God just didn't give it to them, and they have to work really hard to make that happen. But if you have the gift of eye contact and somebody else has an uncomfortable time with it, then kind of help them, ease them into it. You know, if they need to break eye contact more often, you break eye contact also. Mirror them. Use that energy of focusing on them and looking away, and slowly ease them into looking at you more often and holding eye contact more often.
That's awesome. Thank you for that information. I don't think that was the question.
Okay, good. I love when I answer the question wrong. Tell me the question again.
The question is why is it that with some people we just click instantly, we have that immediate magnetic attraction, and with some people we don't?
Our chemistry is right. Like, think about a magnet, like something that attracts or repels something. It has to be that inherently there's something in there in the makeup of somebody where it feels good to be with them. So either they are very magnetic, or the energy between the two of you is magnetic, right? You might be drawn to somebody who's magnetic, right? If they have a certain I'm moving my hand so you can like get the feeling of like, oh, there's an energy there, right? So they have this magnetic energy, right? You could be not so magnetic, and you could just be drawn to them because they are so magnetic. Or you both might be like, okay, people that have a good energy, but together it clicks. So I think the same question happens like, well, why do you have some friends and not others? Why aren't you friends with everybody in the whole world? Why don't you get along with everybody? Why don't you click with everybody? Well, it doesn't work that way. The world wasn't meant to be that way. So some people are meant to click and bond in good, close ways, and other people are not meant to be that way. I don't know that I have a more scientific answer than that. I think you know, like a scientist who can explain like the science of energy and all of that could explain it in a different way. But that's my layman's terms.
Awesome. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to deal with, I thought Carly was a panelist, but she's not, so questions are getting lost. And I don't know why people are still putting them in the chat. Stop putting the questions in the chat box.
Okay, listen, there's the chat box, and then there's the Q&A box. On my phone, actually, Q&A box is up here. For some people, it's going to be down here, but the chat box is where everybody's schmoozing and where Carly's responding. The Q&A box literally says Q and %A. So put it there.
Okay, so we got
it's only that we don't want to miss your questions that we're saying. Yeah. We think they're really important.
Yeah. Can you tell if there's a magnetic connection from a physical touch?
Yeah, it's a false positive often. A physical touch can definitely charge a magnetic connection, and you might not know the difference between real or fake because it's based on a physical touch, because it's not necessarily based on something that's on the inside. So until you know somebody on the inside, until you actually like who they are, until you know if your values are aligned, then I wouldn't ever buy into a physical touch. Like, yeah, you might have a magnetic touch. Does that mean that that person's good for you? Nope. Does that mean that that relationship is for you? Nope. Does that mean anything? It just means that you have a physically magnetic connection. Does that help you in finding a perfect person? Nope. You got to look in the inside. The physical touch to me, like, great, we can deal with that much later if you actually like the human being in front of you. If you don't actually like them and really value them, not like them, like is the wrong word, value. If you don't actually value the person in front of you, physical touch is gonna, you're gonna have a magnetic connection. What's it gonna do for you? It's gonna hold you in a relationship that's wrong for you for much longer. For why? because because there was a connection, great. Won't put that. That's not going to work.
Right. You know what a really cool magnetic touch is?
What? No.
When you like touch the ball and it makes your hair stand on end.
Yes.
That's to me magnetic touch. Or like
I think they were talking
the dryer. Oh no,
I think they were talking about a different kind of magnetic touch.
All right. Okay. Next question. What if you already have all these qualities? So the 7 different magnetic qualities, and you're like this with dates, but you don't get this back from them. Or they always end up saying, you know, how great I am, but they don't want to be with me, would love to just be my friend.
So what do you do about that? You keep dating. So to me, I'm not upset with a no. I did a whole video on the blessing in a no. If you go to h.com, you can see it. I don't know if it's exactly called the blessing in a no, but something like that.
I actually was just looking at it today. I'll pull it up.
Okay, great. And if somebody's not for you and they're not into you and you are magnetic and you're just doing all the right things and they're like, oh, no. So first of all, if it's happening every single time and you don't get one person that's interested, then we have a problem. Like we need at least somebody to buy into that magnetic energy, because maybe you're not magnetic. Maybe you're just big personality taking up lots of space and it's not feeling so good. So that's problematic. And we want to make sure that you are magnetic, that you are drawing people in, and that you're doing like the right amount of energy. Also, if you're dating people that are a little bit less magnetic and you are just doing all the work of building the relationship, then yeah, that's it might be a little bit too much. You maybe need to find people that are a little bit more magnetic, possibly also outgoing.
Awesome. All right. What if you and a person are magnetic and you have good conversations and click well, but you feel 0 physical attraction?
Say it again. The first part again. What if
you and the person you're dating are both magnetic and you have good conversations and you click well, but you don't feel any physical attraction?
It's so hard, isn't it? You're like, I really want to like you, but I'm not feeling it. And you're awesome and I'm awesome and we're kind of awesome together, but I just don't see this happening. So, I mean, if there's any like teeny little, like you could like, oh, I like their eyes, or wow, their teeth are really like straight and white and beautiful, or they've got a great smile, even though something doesn't look right to me. If there's anything that you like about their physical features that you could hyper focus on, and like the shape of their hand, I don't care, anything that you could hyper focus on and see if you could draw yourself in, then I would try. Because clearly if you're both magnetic and you have a good connection, it's not worth throwing away. But if you're both on the same page of like, I'm just not super physically drawn to you, it might be problematic. And like, what happens when you get in a fight? You're not feeling magnetic and you're not feeling physically drawn to them. And now what? Like, what's holding you there? There's nothing that's going to hold you there. So we need more than that. You can't go into something that you're just totally not into. But I would tell you to give it twice as long as you think, that you don't make a mistake and walk away from the wrong person. Sometimes your brain just needs a little bit longer to shift. Sometimes it doesn't matter how long you give it, it would never shift.
Kind of a follow-up to that. If I know a guy is not the one, I feel wrong to date him since it is a date, but I can still have a good connection that feels good, so it just feels like I'm using him.
It's a little bit hard because I have seen people say exactly that and end up marrying a person like that.
Really?
And they didn't buy into them. And then that person warmed them up, was very magnetic, was not just charming for the sake of charming, but like really got to show their true colors because they were given a chance and that other person shifted. So I don't know. If it's 100% no in your brain, if you're like, no, Aleeza, not my person. If you could say not my person, then okay, fine, don't date them. If you could say maybe not my person, then you should go out and let yourself see if your brain becomes okay with it, and let's see what they have to offer. You can't like make them work so hard that it's like, you know, like, oh yeah, go ahead, try to win me over. Like, it's not one of those. It's just give them a chance to sparkle and shine and see if you enjoy their company enough and their looks.
Why does it feel like the first few dates are magnetic and wonderful, and then everything loses its magnetism and things go downhill?
Okay, welcome to relationships. Relationships go like this. Yay! Woo, yay! Woo, yay! And when you go like this, woo, right? You get down here and you're like, ugh, bail. Don't bail, because you know what goes up must come down, and what goes down must come back up. And if you haven't hit rock bottom yet, just keep riding it. It happens. Listen, now if it keeps going south and it's like, ugh, it goes all the way down, you're done. But it might not go all the way down, and it might go, yay. Now, why is it magnetic in the beginning? Well, maybe you're one of those people that gets like really excited about things like me, and in the beginning you're like all excited, and then you have to like normal out to like normal energy, which is like human being energy, and not just like this like woo. So if you're up, it might be a false up, and that's you. That's not the date, that's you. I mean, the date also, but it's your brain that's really like taking you on a trip. And then it goes down, and then when you go up, you're not as high as you went the last time. You might only be half as high, because that's like the real normal anyway. So if you're that kind of person, like give yourself a chance to just normalize out and watch yourself. Do you normally get super excited about things? When I'll give you an example. You want a personal example? I'll give you one.
Yes, please.
Hello. So when I started this business, this is not the first business that I tried starting. I used to own like a little hat business, and I used to sell
we
products,
totally did not
and
talk about your previous businesses.
The head mama. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God,
The head
Aleeza,
mama.
that is so you.
It is, isn't it? It's so cheesy and cute. It was so me. I also like sold products for another business. I mean, like you name it. I have tried to do so many things until I found my thing. And every time it would be like this, yay, I know what I'm going to do, and I know what I'm going to be. And then I was like, no. And then I was like, yeah, no, maybe. And my husband, he went on a ride like this with me, and my father through college. I was like, I want to be an anthropologist. And he's like, good, tell me next week. I want to be a philosopher. Good, tell me next week. I don't know what I want to be. Good, call me next week. So until we kind of figure out what we want and who we want, we might be people that buy into something. And that's a good thing, because we buy in, and buying in is good, but it might take you too high and it might take you too low. So like try to just get a sense of yourself and balance out and even yourself out.
Awesome. What do you do if you connect really easily with most people or many people? How do you know who you have the real connection with?
The person that likes you back and sticks with you.
I mean, that's pretty solid, Aleeza.
You're just gonna, if you connect with a lot of different people and you could be like, okay with this one, or okay with this one, or okay with this one, then you have got to find the person that actually connects back with you, because you might be able to be this magnetic connector and draw so many different types of people to you, and you might be okay with so many different types of people, and that's totally fine. But we need to find out who's going to be okay with you and who's going to want you back, and that's the most important thing.
Awesome. All right. Okay, is repelling our non-soulmates a goal that we want to set for ourselves, or do we try to just keep our options open and not repel?
Well, you just called them your non-soulmates. So if they're really not your soulmate, then you don't, okay, so we don't really want to repel because we just don't want to be icky to anybody. But if somebody's like, we don't want them to like stalk us or follow us, right? So we got to like find the balance. So option open means you don't actually think that that's not your soulmate. You just pray and hope that it's not your soulmate, right? You're like, oh, please, God, don't let it be that one. Please, I don't want that one, right? But if you're actually really open to it, then you should date that person more. If you're really not open to it, it's really not your soulmate. So if you're closed, you're closed. If you think, if I could talk you into it, I do this with my clients all the time. I'm like, listen, if I can talk you into sticking with this because there's not really a good reason not to, then you really shouldn't break up. And it keeps them from making a mistake and like ending something too early. But I don't like keeping options open for the sake of keeping options open. It's only if you're going to look at it again because you need to. And if you're looking at it again, then my question is, why aren't we looking at it now? Like, are you just, you could open something from the past, but don't keep something open now. Finish it. Either it is or it isn't, and move on. Anything that from the past that we kind of left open, we can explore again. Mystery in your history. We could find somebody, but we don't want to leave things open and on the table. Make a decision now, for you or not for you. Now just wait. If 5 years goes by and there was something open, you might need to reevaluate it because you might be somebody different. And that's something totally different.
That makes sense. Is it possible to repel? Oh, you might have just answered this, but is it possible to repel? Sorry, I'm keeping track of a bunch of things. Is it possible to repel your soulmate or miss out on them?
Okay, so my quick answer is yes and no.
Wow,
yes,
wow, that's great, Aleeza. Brilliant.
It's so profound, isn't it?
It's annoying.
Yes, you might repel them. Yes, you might miss out on them, but probably not. Okay, so it goes like this. You might repel your soulmate because, I don't know, you're too in your head, or you're not enough in your head, or you're too in your heart, or you're not enough in your heart, or you're not in the right place in your life, and they're not in the right place in their life. Or there's a million reasons why you might accidentally repel your soulmate. Are you going to miss out on your soulmate? I don't think so. I just think the world was made that you were in heaven and the two souls were one, and you came into the earth and you got two faces stuck in two different bodies, and we get to come together. And so the world was made that you will find this person. I believe that that's the way the world was created. It's the way the story goes in Judaism. It's what we follow. And are you going to miss out on them? I mean, look, if you sit at home and you never go on a date, and you never go out with anybody, and you never get to know anybody, and you don't make an effort, and you tank all your dates on purpose, are you going to miss out on them? Well, yeah. You'd miss out on a job interview also, and getting a job if you never went somewhere and you never made an effort. But same way, if you go to get a job and you keep going and making an effort, and you don't get it, and you don't get it after 100 jobs, you still don't get it. I still think you're getting a job. Why? Because you're making an effort. And the person that makes an effort finds their soulmate and also gets the job. Also, for anybody who doesn't have a job right now, you can get a job. Trust me.
You know what I like that isn't directly related, but one of my business coaches shared this with me recently, and it made so much sense. And you say this all the time. You talk about how social media is not necessarily about amazing content, but it's about being consistent with your posting. And there's a book called Originals, and I forget who it's by, but basically the whole premise is anyone famous who you know for an invention, a piece of art, whatever it is, they put out hundreds, if not thousands, of pieces of art, of inventions, of patents, of literature, and we know them because of one or two or three pieces. The only way that they were able to actually have something that we are familiar with and that they became famous for is because they were consistent about putting out stuff, and they didn't pin all of their hopes on any one thing. They kind of believed in themselves and knew that eventually something would become of something, but they didn't know what that something would be. And I can say for myself, I'm always shocked. Aleeza laughs at me every time, but I'm always shocked by like which of my social media posts on my business do the best and get the most engagement and get like 50 or 75 comments, forget how many likes. And I'm just like, but why that one?
Why this one? I would have never thought that would be the one.
So I don't know. I feel like that's really kind of applicable here. It's not any one person that has to be your soulmate, because we don't know which one it's going to be. Right. So if it's not this one, yalla, next.
Right. Keep it moving. Find the one.
On that note, because you brought up the career thing, just kidding, I was going to ask this question next anyway. How do men overcome lack of career success in order to be magnetic?
Get a job. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow, if only that were so easy in a global pandemic.
You have to have confidence. What is really attractive and what's really magnetic is confidence. So having a job might give you confidence, but if taking that job away takes away your confidence, you never had confidence to begin with. A man who has confidence, it's magnetic. And you don't have to have a job to have confidence. What do you have to have? You have to have self-esteem. You have to know that you're a great person. You've got a lot to offer to the world. So you don't have a job today, like, I don't care. So you're going to get a job.
You have to believe that you will get a job.
Yeah, you have to know it. You have to know it. It's all about the confidence. I mean, I'll tell you personally, when my husband and I dated, and I don't even know when people said like, well, what does he do? Because he wasn't doing anything. He had a job and he was out of work at the time when we were dating. And when we got married, he had no job. And when people are like, oh, well,
I feel like we should tell people you
do?
didn't have a long engagement.
we were engaged for 4 months.
Okay, but I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah. So, but he didn't have a job. Well, I don't know when he left the previous job or right. So he didn't have a job. So, and apparently he had enough confidence to capture me. So it's about confidence. It's about believing in yourself, knowing that you have so much to offer, and whether you have a job or you have money or you don't have any of those things, you have you, and you're fantastic. You're phenomenal. You've got so much to offer to the world. A job doesn't make you who you are. You make you who you are. And that's it. And if you project that, I don't know, you could tell me you do nothing and I might marry you.
Well, I think you're taken.
I mean, yeah, but I did do that.
She'll keep it as a backup option, okay? How important, because we already spoke about physical attraction, I'm going to bring up this question. How important is it to feel physically attracted to the person I'm dating, especially if we're both Shomer Nagia? Is physical attraction something that can develop with time?
Can you define Shomer Nagia? Because not everybody in our audience speaks.
Shomer Nagia is when we do not touch the opposite gender before marriage. So no kissing, no holding hands, no pat on the back.
Nothing. Nada. Nothing. Pandemic dating. Just keep yourself at a different distance. Okay, so now that you define that, now you have to re-ask the question.
All right.
It went out of my
How
brain.
important is it to feel physically attracted when we're both Shomer Nagia? And is that something that can physical attraction grow with time, develop with time?
Yes, physical attraction can develop with time. And I've had people tell me, I don't want to date them for longer because I don't think they're attractive today. And I know that I might come to think that they're attractive, so I don't want to keep dating. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. You just solved your own problem. You have to keep dating because I think you're going to actually end up liking them and you might marry them. And that has actually happened to my clients.
Monkey story.
No, I have a different story. I have a different story. I had a guy that felt like this, and he was dating this woman, and he was like, I like her and I want to marry somebody like her, but like, I don't know, it's not all there. But, and I know if I keep dating her, I'll probably come to like her, but I don't want to come to like her. And I was like, why? Because I don't think today, in my eyes today, that she's beautiful, like beautiful. And so I don't want to come to think that she's beautiful, because I probably will, but I know since I already thought that she probably wasn't, that's not going to be true. Like the whole brain process, I don't know if it's that other people he was worried that wouldn't think she was beautiful because maybe they saw what he originally saw. I don't know what it was. He married her because he didn't make a mistake, because he called me and he like loved her. He really like loved who she was as a person. And yes, he came to think that she was beautiful. What she wasn't was the picture of beauty that he had in his brain. It wasn't that she wasn't beautiful. It was that she didn't match up with the image of who he thought he was going to marry. And he wanted to marry the image that was in his brain. Now that's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what we all do. But you have to catch yourself and don't make a mistake and get stuck in your brain when in reality your soulmate's standing in front of you and you're like, I don't want to come to like them. Silly. Yes, you should come to like them. You will come to love them. You will think they're beautiful. You will be connected to them, but you do have to give your brain time to catch up, because sometimes what your eyes see is not what you love, but what your brain sees and understands, really you connect with. And your eyes take much longer to catch up to your brain. So yes, give yourself the eyes time to catch up. Now, I don't know if I fully answered this, but
I don't know. We'll get to that in a second, but it's so interesting because this is something that I get from potential clients all the time. For me, it's a little bit different because our businesses are a little bit different. But for me, I say if you're not in a place where you're willing to be comfortable. So I'm a body image coach and I work with clients to feel comfortable in their bodies as they are. And I definitely have the people who say, I don't want to get comfortable with my body because I don't like the idea that I could be comfortable in my body. And I'm like, if that's where you are, then this is not work that you're ready to do. So in my case, like that's I'm not going to work with you right now. Come back when you're ready. And so someone just said, I honestly understand that backwards logic because you can look back at a time when you thought they weren't attractive. And I think it's important to recognize that a lot of us can understand that logic, and the logic, as illogical as it is, it kind of makes sense, but that shouldn't be a reason to stop you from marrying your soulmate. That's not enough of a reason for me to say no to a relationship that's working in every other area, especially if I know that there's a really high chance that I can get past this. And not only can I get past this, I'm going to end up thinking she's the most beautiful woman in the world.
And by the way, the opposite of this is also true. You could date and marry the most beautiful, amazing human being that you ever saw, and you could end up divorcing them. Why? You're not going to divorce them because they're not beautiful. You're going to divorce them because they're not beautiful on the inside, because they treat you like garbage, because that pretty face doesn't talk so nicely to you. So that face that you think is so pretty turns ugly, even though they might be like a model.
If they're ugly inside. Not every pretty face.
If they're ugly, I was telling the whole story here. If they're ugly inside, exactly. If they're ugly inside, the outside becomes ugly, and that model gorgeous disappears. So that it goes both ways. Your brain just doesn't want to think about that. And I'm sorry. So we're just going to give you a brain check. It's like a brainwash, but like a healthy brainwash.
Whatever. We're not going to get onto brainwash. I mean, for all intents and purposes, we're all brainwashed about anything, like at the end of the day. Okay. And I just want to add something that David said about the job point. He agreed he loved the confidence point, and he said another point to be made is that people shouldn't judge others based on their job, but based on the person and their qualities. And a lot of people just can't get past the image of the idea, can't get past the image of what they want the other person's job to be. I think that's a great point. And someone actually asked, Aleeza, how did you overlook your husband not having a job? Like, how do we overlook a negative factor that could potentially de-excite the situation?
Right. And I was trying to remember, thank you for asking, because I was trying to remember back. I'm like, well, what did I think? I believed that he had a lot of skills. I believed that he was capable of doing so much and achieving so much. And I heard about his hopes and his dreams of what he wanted to do and what he was looking to do and what he was trying to do. And so I guess I was more focused on who he was as a person, that he had the ability to do something, even though he wasn't doing it currently, and that we would figure it out together. I mean, I was 25. I wasn't 35, although he was 35. So like, maybe if you're 35 or 45 or 55, you might be thinking like, well, I'm not waiting around for that. And you might not want to, and that's totally fine. I'm 43 now, and I don't know if I would want to agree to that at this moment. I don't know if that would be comfortable for me. But I was really hyper focused on who he was. Awesome. And he does have a job today, and he has had a job since we've been married.
How do I know, speaking about magnetic qualities, how do I know if a person is not genuine and just putting on a show?
Yeah, there's those people that are super magnetic, and then they have their whole shtick, and you're like, I'm being played. Like, not played for like wrong, but like, you just putting on a whole thing, and like, it's just if you're asking the question, I think usually I think you're with that person and you're like, are they for real? Like, is this like really who they are? Like, your brain is second guessing them. If you're not the type to second guess people normally, then it's probably a sign that there's something going on. It's like a whole thing. You don't really know until you date them. So the answer is keep dating them to figure it out. If you have a chance to get to know any of their friends or their family or their community or what other people think of them, you start to hear things like, yeah, they're nice most of the time. They're
when you get to know them first,
you'll start to hear people have a hard time. I mean, except for pathological liars, but most people have a hard time just not saying the truth about something.
And if all of his friends are pathological liars,
then you have a problem.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry. All right. Do you think chemistry is something that can grow and develop, or is it something you naturally feel from the start?
Chemistry can grow. Most people think it can't, but chemistry can grow, but you've got to be a chemist. You've got to know how to grow it. I mean, a relationship chemist, not a chemist. So chemistry, when it's there, it's a gift. Okay. You and I meet, we connect, and there's like that thing that's happening. Gift from God. Thank you very much. You didn't work for that. That's just a gift. And if God pulls out the energy from that moment, you're like, oh, what happened? Where'd that chemistry go? Because you never worked for it. You didn't work to build it. In general, you can build chemistry in relationship. Actually, I challenge you. I dare you. I double dare you to try to build chemistry in relationship. I'm not specifically talking about with a romantic interest, with somebody that you don't particularly want to be friends with. I want you to pick somebody that you would normally not pick to be your friend, and I want you to befriend them, and I want you to build chemistry and a relationship between you. I double dog dare you. I'm only recommending it because I have tried it many times with people that I don't instantly have chemistry with, and I've seen it work. And where I put in the effort, it happens. And even if it's a person that I wouldn't naturally want to be connected, like it's not my type of person, it's not my style person. Yeah, but can I build the chemistry if I wanted to, if I want to explore that relationship, if I think that we could do something together that would be valuable? Yeah, we could do that, and I could do that, and you could do that. So I challenge you. Who accepts, right? I accept the challenge. I want to know within the next
I'm actually really, I feel like we should follow up on this. Like if you say I accept, we want an email in a month from now. Who did you don't have to say who you picked, but like, what was the relationship? Friend, neighbor, I would say barista, but like, who's going to get coffee nowadays? No one's
and it might even be more challenging now because of distance dating. So yeah, you could email us at coach@marriagemindedmentor.com. We would love to know what happened. And by the way, if it doesn't work the first time, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Like try 10 times. It will work. You've just got to get better at it.
All right. Follow-up question to that. How do you grow chemistry? Did we just address that?
Well,
you said you can, but did you say how?
I mean, it's by being magnetic, by everything that we said. Warmth, and be fun, and be engaging, and listen, and connect, and be there with this other person. Be authentic, be genuine. I mean, you can't be so authentic and genuine that you're like, I don't really want to build a connection with you, but I'm going to try. I did have somebody once come to me and they're like, you know, I really didn't want to be your friend. Like you hang around with those people and I hang around with these people. We're in two different crowds. And like, I just didn't want to hang around with you. And I was like, yeah, I kind of got that vibe. And because you put off that vibe, I didn't want to be friends with you because you're like, you know, like you weren't so friendly to me. And then she needed to get married. And so she's like, but I need you. I want to work with you. And I was like, okay. And because she became open to the relationship and because I wasn't closed to the relationship, we became friends, and we actually have a really great friendship now. I just talked to her the other day.
That's awesome.
Funny. It's really funny.
Awesome. All right, next up. What's the difference between being, and we got like 20 minutes left, so let's try to keep them 1 minute. What's the difference between being magnetic and having a big personality and taking up space?
Yeah, so being magnetic draws somebody to you. Being magnetic empowers somebody. It brings both of you to light. Being a big personality and taking up a lot of space is like this. It's like all me, me. You see me? Me? Oh, it's me, right? That's me. I don't want me. If magnetic is we. Magnetic is that we both exist in this space together, that there's room for you, that there's room for me in the conversation, in the moment, that there's an energy that's happening, that it's like ping pong, like boing, 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 back and forth. There's this thing that's happening between us. Big personality, taking up space. It's like, you know, like you're playing ball with yourself against the wall and you're hitting the ball. Like, yeah, you could play all day and do your own thing. Like, you don't need anybody else there to just, you know, have fun on your own. Like, no, don't have fun on your own and just take up a lot of space. Throw the energy back and forth. Let somebody else feel empowered.
Awesome. Do you think men or women become magnetic faster? Or is that like a gender-based thing?
I'm thinking. Clearly, I didn't get this question beforehand. Is it a man or a woman? Both genders have the ability to do it. Do women do it a little bit easier sometimes, or more women are more likely to do it? Probably. My gut is leaning towards women have the ability to do it, but I've seen some pretty magnetic men, and man, like they just have a great energy. They know how to have a great conversation. They get out of the way to make space for somebody else. And I don't know that it's male, female as much as it might be. And we talked about this in the webinar last week, but like introvert, extrovert, right? So sometimes these extroverted personalities draw other people out. They tend to be more magnetic. You know, the people that are introverted or quiet or shy, it's like if they're magnetic, they're like softly magnetic. It's not like that zing. It's like that click. It works. So I don't know that it's gender-based, although I would lean, you know, whether it's 60-40 or 75-25, probably more heavily female.
Awesome. This one's a little bit different. I thought this webinar would be about positive thinking to attract the right one. Any thoughts or recommendations on that? And I know she does. She has.
I've
worked with you for a hot minute.
I am all about positive thinking and drawing the right one in with your thinking, with your beliefs, with your energy. 100% yes. So if you're going to do that, I recommend affirmations on a daily basis. You know, like, you know, this person is here. They're coming closer to me to every day. I'm available to them. They're available to me. We will find each other. All of those positive affirmations, knowing it, not just by saying it, but seeing it. I just did a visualization exercise with one of my clients yesterday, 2 days ago, maybe. And she's like, I can't see him. Like, he doesn't, he like, I mean, I know he's there, but I can't see him. I was like, no, I want you to see him like right here next to you. So I asked her, what does he look like? And what does he sound like? And what does he do? And where is he from? And she's like, oh, I don't know. I was like, no, tell me. Just in your imagination, what we are creating this, where might this happen? You need to be able to visualize it. So affirmations are good. Visualizations are good. Putting a magnetic energy. So if you think about a magnet, let me grab my little prop over here. But if you think about a magnet, what's amazing about a magnet, because I did a little bit of research about magnets because one of my kids had a project and it was all about magnets. So a magnet has a force field around it. Can you see it? No, it just looks like a magnet. Do you see this amazing energy that's around it? No. Can you feel it? I can't feel it, well, because I'm not, you know, magnetic. I mean, I'm not magnetized. But put another magnet there, right? And then you just see, you get closer, and then oh, do you see that? Do you see how it leaned in? That force field was there sucking it in. So visualize yourself with this force field, with this energy all around you that is drawing like this, like a rope, like you're pulling somebody in, drawing that person to you. You can even imagine that invisible thread, like from you, maybe like from the belly button area, right? Like out, like fishing line, and you're like drawing them in, you're drawing them in, drawing them in. So I would recommend some of those things in addition to meeting the right people and having a magnetic personality and being, you know, a good conversationalist.
Can we share the notice notes idea?
Share away.
I get to share? So this actually is from it's from Plus One Perspective, right?
I believe so.
Notice notes. And everything that Aleeza just said, great exercises. This is another one that's a little bit more, I hear you swallow, a little bit more, not tangible isn't the right word, but whatever, I'll just explain it. But basically, notice notes is when you start, you know how, I forget what it's called, but I just call it the red car effect. When you're looking for a red car and all of a sudden you start to notice a red car everywhere, they're not suddenly more red cars on the street. It's just that your mind is aware of them because it's seeking it out. And so the same thing happens in literally any other area of your life. Whatever your mind is focused on, that's what you're going to notice. And so by intentionally starting to notice the daily interactions and experiences that you're having on a regular basis, and then sitting down, observing them retroactively or in the moment, whatever happens, and picking out the ones where you could say, there's a potential date or a potential person to engage with, to network, who might know someone that I can date. that kind of thing. So literally sitting down at the end of the day and going through your day and saying, that's someone I can meet, that's someone I can meet, that's someone I could follow up with, that might be a good connection, and taking action on those things. The more you do it, the more you'll start to notice those opportunities, the more potential you have of meeting your soulmate sooner rather than later.
Right. I think it's called the frequency illusion, right?
There we go. There's also a fancy
right?
name for it, but yes. Yeah, it is a frequency illusion.
Okay, fantastic.
Awesome. Okay. I feel like this has come up before, but say you keep praying for the right one and the same person comes back in your life, but he doesn't commit. You do like him, but he's not committed to the relationship, but like no one else is working out.
We've got to entice him to commit. Bring him to me. I'll talk to him. Yeah. So when the right one is there, it's really difficult when somebody's not ready, and it might be the right person, but it's the wrong timing. So if it's the wrong timing because he's not ready, then make sure you keep yourself busy, happy, healthy, doing lots of things, and keep kind of a close eye and a close watch. You might still want to be dating other people and just every so often, like drip, 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 check in, try it again, try it again. It's usually going to be not that it doesn't work out, but it's not the right time. It's not the right time until maybe it is the right time. So I would just kind of keep like a very short leash and keep that relationship close at hand and
Awesome.
work it.
All right. This is along the same lines. What if you really, really connect with someone? You've been broken up for a while in different countries, but you keep coming back to each other. There's no physical side to the relationship for a couple of years, but you aren't sure if you have the same life plan.
Talk about your life plan, please. Please talk about your life plan and figure out how you can align it. If they sound great and you sound great, here's my theory. It's really hard to find that. It's so hard to find people that match and click. So just talk about your life plan. Try to make it a life plan. This is your plan. This is my plan. And this is our plan. What would our plan look like if we had one? And see if you could turn it into a reality. It's so hard to find something. Even if you're long distance, please work on it. It's really worthwhile.
Awesome. Why do women seem to be non-magnetic on dates?
Maybe you're drawing all the non-magnetic ladies to you. I don't know. Why are women non-magnetic? Are you going out with people that are just in general like a little bit more relaxed personality? Again, easygoing, not so emotionally, charged. Are you finding people like that? And then I would ask you, are you magnetic? Are you drawing people to you that mirror you, that are going to have a similar energy? I do not find that all women are that way. I do feel like some women are that way. I do a little bit of introspection. If everybody you date is not magnetic, then we have a problem. If it's not everybody, but it's a majority, then okay, so you're still meeting some magnetic people, that's okay. But if everybody's not magnetic, I'm diagnosing something's not right.
All right. The diagnosis has been made. I don't think this question is either 100% about magnetism, but it's kind of attached to the others. So what if you're not 100% ready to commit to someone? So you leave a relationship and soon after you realize that was a mistake. How would you advise me to re-enter that person's life without making him feel like he's a second choice?
Maybe come at it that I wasn't ready. You were great all along, and maybe in the back of my head I knew this was the right thing, but I just wasn't ready for this, and I don't know why I wasn't ready. And it could be that it took me, I had to have an aha moment of dating other people and realizing, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. I already had what I wanted. I don't need to look anywhere else for this. Empower the relationship and empower him to feel charged about you wanting to be there. And by the way, you're probably going to have to work pretty hard to win him back over. Not always, but probably, because he's going to be skeptical. Maybe you're going to bail out again, and he might try to repel you and push you away, even though he really wants you. He might do that, and that might be a test, an unintentional, not doing it on purpose test. And you, because you ran away from the relationship before or walked away, you have to buy back in and push back. And instead of repelling him, like turn it into something and connect to him. So you are probably going to have to work twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times as hard to really make him believe that you really, really want him. And he's not going to work so hard in the beginning. He's going to probably try to push you away. Not always, but I've often seen it happen where they try to push you away. And I don't want you to believe it. Push anyway.
Awesome. All right, here's a good one. How do you find magnetic people if you're dating online and through dating apps?
Okay, so I have to tell you, I had a video call with somebody the other day, like a business person, somebody, not a client, and the person had a magnetic personality. I was thinking about this moment. I was like, man, you have one of those personalities. If I had met this person in person or if I had met them virtually, they still had a magnetic personality. So I think that it translates through video very easily. Through phone, it can translate, but you might have to work harder. And if you're not like if we're talking about being magnetic and this is like a 10 and this is like a 0. So if you're not a 10 or a 9 or an 8 and it just comes across naturally, if you're a 7, 6, 5 or anything below that, you have to work probably twice as hard to pull yourself out. So it's kind of like stage makeup, right? Like if I'm coming on camera, I'm going to put on makeup really heavy, more than I would in person, because the camera is going to take away half of that. And so it needs to be there to help it pop. So the same way, your personality to pop through video, you've got to be twice as much of who you are. I mean, not over the top, but like you've got to really have something. So when I'm sitting here, like I'm sitting here in this chair, it's like a loungy chair. I'm like kind of every time I sit, I keep slumping down. I'm working really hard, you should know, to be magnetic, to be entertaining, to be here for you, to use my hands. I'm not just sitting here like having a conversation, moving my head. I mean, I could talk like this. I'm using inflection. I'm using tone. I'm trying to use more of my body and more of my voice at different levels to get something across to you. And that is so that it should be magnetic, so that you should be drawn to sit here and watch this, because who else wants to sit and watch an hour and a half thing if somebody's like, that's boring.
What? Oh my gosh,
love you.
That is so boring.
So yeah, so you have to pump up the volume. You got to like get yourself to a higher level if you're not coming across so well. Like if you're a little flat on the screen and you move your head like this isn't going to be enough to be magnetic. You see, I look like a bobblehead where I'm like, yeah, like it's just like the head is moving, but the rest of me is not. Don't be afraid. I mean, if you don't talk with your hands, so I'm not asking you to talk with your hands, but I mean, maybe, or at least put your hand up. Or lean in, like give me something. Men also, like you have to have like a masculine, like whatever you're, give me something that draws some attention there and creates some magnetism.
Awesome. Is there a time or place to play hard to get in regards to your advice about being approachable?
Yes, but it's not hard to get. It's playful. Replace the word hard to get with playful. Okay, so we got a new puppy about a month ago, and she is very playful.
It's been a month? No,
a month.
No, there's
so
no way.
There's
no way. I don't believe you.
We got her April 20th. Yeah, it's been a month. So she's so cute. So she's playful. You know what she does? She looks at you and then she like looks away and she like comes to get you and she's like, and then she like goes away and you're like, no, come here, I want you. Right? But it's so playful. It's so engaging. So in terms of personality, we don't want it to just be like so easy. You want to have like this coming and going, this energy of being drawn to somebody and talking to them and catching them, and then them like slipping away from you and then catching them. There's like a certain enjoyment out of playing, right? But not hard to get for the sake of hard to get. Because if you're so hard to get, some people are gonna be like, not worth it. I'm not playing.
I feel like hard to get would be if your dog like came close, rolled her eyes, like turned her back on you, walked away, and then turned around again. Like no one wants a person like that. It's like you're still have the twinkle in your eye and you're still like checking to make sure they're still there and they didn't go anywhere as you back up, and you never get too far that they're like, oh, she's gone.
Excellent description.
Excellent. Now I'm waiting to see her dog roll her eyes.
She's so cute. She's
I need
really
to
cute.
meet her when this social distancing is over. All right, we got another good question in. What do you do if you have a magnetic personality, except when it comes to dating? I have so many more questions. I just want to know why. But yes, I'll let Aleeza answer this.
Wait, do you have more questions? You want to throw it in there? Okay, so I don't believe it. That's my first answer. My first answer is I don't believe it. I don't believe that you are so magnetic with everybody else and you're not magnetic with dating. I mean, I do believe it, but I mean, you can really overcome that. You have to make a conscious decision. If you got to play with your brain a little bit. So you have to be with somebody and you have to be like, I'm talking to my friend. I'm talking to a friend. I could just have fun with this. I'm talking to a friend. Like, talk yourself down from whatever gets you hyped up and prevents you from bringing the newness of you to the relationship. So if you have the ability to do it somewhere else and you're not doing it here, then I want you to work 10 times as hard to do it there, because you have the skill, right? Some people don't have the skill because it's either not a gift or it's not a skill that they've acquired, and they've got to bring it out on a date. And they're like, Aleeza, I don't even do it in my regular life, let alone dating. That's really difficult. But somebody who's in the position of like, I know how to do it, but I'm not doing it, you can do better than that.
I mean, if that's not solid, Musser,
I mean, call me. I can coach you. We can work through it. It's not as easy as that. These are just 1-minute answers, but you have the skill. You do.
Why are older guys attracted to much younger women?
It's a really good question. So I did a little bit of research on this.
You did?
And
of course you
did. I love researching all this kind of stuff. So sometimes I've heard things like, just for example, like, you know, fertility, or women who are like have the ability to have children. There's something that's appealing. Just think about it, like also in the animal kingdom. Like
that's
there's
like
just something
totally
very
subconscious, by the way. It's not like a guy's sitting there thinking like,
correct.
He looks young. Like that's something
Correct.
that's in us naturally.
Like an animal instinct more, right, than not a consciousness. Thank you. So sometimes it is that. Why else? Sometimes it's just culturally, that's just what people do. Maybe it's like a status thing, like, oh, I got myself a younger woman. You know, like, I don't know. If guys that think like that, okay. And if you're not a younger woman, so don't look for guys like that. There's like hundreds of thousands of millions of people on this planet that don't think like that. And the guys that do, like, not for you. They're not for me either. Like, next. Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Awesome. What if you had the best magnetic relationship with someone, but he wouldn't entertain the thought of dating seriously due to religious difference?
Yeah, so religious differences are so interesting. And I've seen different couples work together and work things out. So it's complex. This is not like on one foot I can give you a very quick answer. The quick answer is, for some couples it works, and we work through the details of like, yes, this and no that, and this is in, and we like come up with a plan of how it could work. And other times we're like, nope, one of you's got to like take a leap and get into the direction of the other one, or there's really no room for this to work. It's not really a fabulous answer.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Why does it feel like when I date certain people, I feel magnetic and energetic, but other times I just don't have it? It's got to be them, not me, right? Comes with a winky face.
Right, magnetic and energetic, but then sometimes they don't. Right, so some people, you might be one of those people that matches people's energy. So if somebody's got one of those energies and they're like chill and calm, like if I'm talking to a client and they're like one of those very calm, neutral, like easy, like just, you know, slow moving, slow paced, or just lower energy than where I might be, if I don't match their energy, I can't work with them.
Right.
Okay. And it's not their job to match my energy. A client once told me, I'd like to work with you, but I'm afraid you're going to take up too much space. And I just want to make sure there's enough space for me in the conversation, because I really think you could help me. And I said, I'm so grateful for that feedback, that, you know, like, cause you know, you could see on screen and it's like, oh, I want to work with you, but like, that's a little too much. So I match people's energy. I'm like a chameleon. So like, you're like this, I'm like this. You're like this, I'm like this. You're like this, I'm like this. I'm matching and mirroring constantly. And that's why Sarah and I have this like pop, you know, like, cause we both have that kind of an energy. And so we feed off of it. If I was doing this with somebody who was a little bit more calm and just spoke a little bit more like this, I might be speaking a little bit more like this too.
But we also have times where we're both, it's the end of a long day because we work crazy hours. We could be on the phone from 12 to 1 a.m. Or
right.
if one of us
and
is
the energy is
having a
different.
challenging day, yeah, same. The energy,
For sure.
the energy is this. It's so funny because I noticed this literally last week with a client of mine, and I was like, why am I talking to her like this? And I realized because she was talking to me like this.
Good
And
job.
I was like, you know what? That's like this whole mirroring thing is so cool because it works. But I think for some people it's natural, and if it's not natural for you, then it's definitely something to be cognizant of because it is a skill that you could work on.
Yeah, it's a tool for the toolbox. Some people have it, and some people have to build it.
Yeah. And he said, yeah, good point. I'm very good at matching energy naturally. So
there you go.
That would be why. Alrighty, we are at 9:29. So Aleeza, I'm going to let you wrap up. If we didn't get to your questions, some of the questions that came in were just not related to this topic specifically. So sorry.
But we do have other webinars that were pre-recorded, that were recorded as we did it, and you can watch the recording if you want. Okay, so here's how we're going to wrap up. First, I just want to tell you that tonight, two things about tonight. One is that this webinar was sponsored by friends of Rabbi Michael Stern of blessed memory, who was not only my rabbi, he is the one that married us, and we were best friends with him. We were just the closest in the world. And his yahrzeit coming up actually June 12th. And so this is in his memory and his merit. And so we'll just take a moment to acknowledge what a tremendous human being he was, because he was highly influential. He loved helping singles, and he and I used to talk about our classes together. He's like, oh, Aleeza, I need you, like, let me give something over. And then I was like, okay, Rabbi, wait, let me tell you my idea. Okay, let's go back and forth. And it was the best. So thank you so much to Friends of Rabbi Michael Stern for sponsoring this webinar. And I would like to tell you about one of our amazing partners, which is called Partners in Shidduchim. You can put that in the chat. Partners in Shidduchim is a wonderful website that allows you to search for somebody, and you can have an advocate search for you. They can look on your behalf. So you put your resume in there. This is a website for singles that are observant and looking for somebody. And what's so amazing is Bela, the woman who runs the organization, does this out of, like, she loves singles. She wants to help them find their soulmate, and she wanted to make, it's a free database. It's a free database that you can use to find somebody. And she wants you to know you are never alone in this search. She is there. The entire team is there to back you up, to support you with this outstanding platform that allows you to put your resume up there, search for somebody, a resume, a dating profile, search for somebody and make a connection. And I've had my clients on that, searching for their soulmates, going out on some great dates, and having some tremendous success. So I highly recommend you check out.
My cousin got married that way.
The best. It's absolutely the best.
I've been on a number of different sites. That's actually been my favorite because they have a spectrum, but you can also more orthodox, but you can actually see the people's information. You know exactly what you're dealing with. You could contact them directly. Some people have their own information. Some people have a matchmaker information, but it's no nonsense, straightforward. And there's a lot of people there.
Yeah, it's a tremendous database. So please check it out. We love to partner with amazing organizations to bring all of our singles the best connections possible. And if anybody would like
like that. Just saying.
Because we're relationship connectors. So we just want to connect people to great people and great programs. Also, we offer a complimentary intro call where you can get to know one of the coaches. Besides working with me, you can work with somebody from my team. We've got outstanding coaches that are available. And we also have Leah, who is in Israel, and she does this Jewish-based personality system, which is outstanding. And you can sign up and you can have 2 sessions with her to go through it, to learn about it, to learn about yourself, to learn about what a match, a good match would be for you and why, and how to find somebody like that. So please go to our website, marriagemindedmentor.com, and sign up for the 15-minute intro call and get to know one of the coaches and try working with us. We've had tremendous success over the last, oh my gosh, I started in 2012 officially, 2011 unofficially, and 2012. We've been in business for a long time. We love working with singles of all ages, of all backgrounds. And people are like, well, are you matchmakers? We're not matchmakers, but we do help you find your match. So we would love to work with you. And thank you. Just thank you for being here. And thank you for allowing us to do this awesome work. It really, it makes my day. This is what I love this.
Aww.
I love helping people.
Everyone all together now. I know, I can hear you all saying it. But she's cute. She's cute. We'll keep her.
The lady from Israel, her name is Leah. You'll find her, Leah Sharif, on our website. She actually is my cousin. We're second cousins. She was actually the very first mentor that I trained. She and I are very different. So I base what I do on intuition, and like I understand things and I know things, and I might not be able to explain to you how I know it, but I know it. And she's
it's
like,
crazy,
Aleeza,
but she does.
Yeah, and she's like, Aleeza, like I don't operate on intuition. Like, how do you do that? I was like, I don't know. I can't teach intuition. She goes, I have a system. Yeah, and basically what I describe about people, she's like, oh, they're like this. And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, yeah, you always attract clients like that. That's like your style. And she's
funny.
like, this is the system. So she actually also wrote a book. The book is called Point of Connection, and it's on Amazon. It's also on our website, and you can take a look at that. And that is all about the system. But if you want to actually have her interview you and kind of type you and tell you, you know, what it is about you, and maybe, you know, areas where you're strong, areas where you're weak, you might want to work on something, or you might just want to acknowledge what it is and who might be a good fit and why they might be a good fit.
Awesome.
Also, can I tell something fun? This is new.
Yeah.
I haven't told anybody this yet. Can I tell you new news? Okay. So new news is that I'm actually finally writing my second book. And it is called, okay, yay, thank you. I haven't told the public yet. You guys are the first public that I'm telling. So we did a webinar on this. The book is going to be called I'm Virtually Yours. And the reason we did a webinar on this was because I was told, don't write a book. You're not going to write another book. You don't need to write a book. And I was like, no, I do. So I'm reclaiming the title from my webinar, and I'm going to make it the title of the book. And it's basically a crash course in distance dating when you can't meet face to face. What's better than that? Like, hello, that's what everybody needs right now. So I am working on this. I've got my whole team working on this. We are going to have a book launch, God willing, in August. Stay tuned. And we're going to also have a book club. So the book club, we're going to go through it. It's going to be 4 weeks, and week by week, you're going to get activities to do, and you're going to get webinars, and you're going to get live classes, and it's going to be so, so much fun. So I'm really excited about that. And can I make a request? So for anybody who, or maybe, I was going to say maybe we can take it off video, but okay, fine, we'll leave it on. On record, I mean. But okay, so on a book, everybody needs to have like an endorsement. So here, like for example, wait, we'll just show you my previous book, which is called Get Real, Get Married, which is fantastic. Also, it's all about getting over your hurdles and under the chuppah. I've got 2 amazing endorsements on the back. One is from Rabbi Klatzko of Shabbat.com, and one is from Sarah Yocheved Rigler, who is a worldwide lecturer and author.
That's solid.
And yeah, they're phenomenal, and it's amazing. But I need your help. Can I tell you what I need? I need an endorsement or 2 for the back of my new book that is like a big name endorsement, because I want to reach a lot of people, and you can only do that if you're attached. Like people who know people like to know about things. And so I need, if you know anybody who's like famous-ish and you like have some sort of relationship with them, and you're like, hey, I would, yeah, like Tal Ben Shahar, yeah, like, but like well-known worldly people. They can be Jewish, they can be you know, Jewish, secular Jewish, famous world, like whoever. Yes, but I don't just want names. Like I need a personal connection. Like I need an introduction. I need to meet with somebody, and I need somebody to be like, oh, we love the work that you're doing. We would be so happy and honored to support you in supporting singles. Because if you put a book out there and like it reaches a couple people, it's nice, but it does. I'm not writing a book for the sake of writing a book. I really want to help as many people as possible, and I can only do that if it gets in many people's hands.
I just want to verify and not verify, validate, whatever, what Aleeza just said, that it's not just about writing the book, that she actually like wants to help people. This is like an ongoing conversation because we both have a business mind, but I'm a little bit more money driven and she's a little bit more impact driven. So every conversation where it's like, how much should we charge? Well, how do we run this? And Aleeza's like, no, but I want to help everybody. And I'm like, you have a business to run. So I can say this really, really for her is about the book. And it is, I mean, it's not about I wrote a book. It's about the impact and the way
the impact
so many people.
Yes. Yes. So, but I know, and I know what I need. I just need somebody who's famous so that when they look at the book and they're like, you know, like it's not going to say like Aleeza, New York Times bestseller. I mean, unless it becomes a bestseller, but it can say,
wait,
you know,
hold
like,
on. That's your dream. Don't shoot your dream yet.
Okay, it's my dream. But it should say like so-and-so who like thinks that Aleeza's book is awesome, who's a New York Times bestseller. Like that could go on there. So if you know any New York Times bestsellers that you want to introduce me to, I need an introduction. So everybody needs a relationship, right? And I want to help you find your soulmate, and I want you to help find my endorsement soulmate. So for my new I'm Virtually Yours. So, and we're working on the cover. So that will be like released soon, so you can get a preview of that. And yeah, if anybody has any suggestions, send them to coach@marriagemindedmentor.com. We would really love your help.
Awesome.
Do you want to take it off record and like we'll have a little 30-second after party?
I'm taking it off record.